Hello there everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Jessie and I am a fan of Gossip Girl. So I watched Gossip Girl for the very first time in 2019. I don't know why I waited so long to watch it, and I also don't know why I decided to watch it exactly when I did, but I did, and I'm so glad I did. I had a great time. It was quite the roller coaster, and I documented my first time reactions on Twitter. I will play you a best hits compilation now. And the Archibald is just the cutest, dumbest little toaster strudel. I'm like, am I getting old, or is Jenny Humphrey just fucking annoying? Because it's not a real pregnancy scare unless you don't know who the father is. And I'm not complaining, except for this one time, because that was the most awkward moment in my entire life. There's like 5 million fucking men on this earth. Probably more than that. That's not how tape works, okay? You tape an envelope together, and the letter inside is still ripped up. What the fuck was Lady Gaga doing there? Gossip Girl literally just recreated Star Wars. What the fuck? But yeah, that's the lesson that I have learned from Gossip Girl. I think it's the most important lesson out of the entire series, is never get in an elevator if you're in an argument, because it will break. So of course, when they announced that they were rebooting Gossip Girl for the modern day, I had my eyes on that shit. And I'm happy to announce that I have finally managed to watch it. I guess watching shows way after they come out is just my brand. So I started to document my reactions to the reboot like I did with the first one on Twitter, and I just found that I had too many thoughts and they were all kind of just random little one-off things, so I thought that I would compile them all into one convenient little video for you. So here it is. Here is a bunch of random nonsensical thoughts about the Gossip Girl reboot in no particular order. Now, first off, I will just say overall, I really enjoyed the reboot. I have not looked at anyone's reactions or, takes on the reboot, so I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I liked it, so there you go. I feel like 2 cast members in particular really physically resembled their counterparts in the original series. Number 1, I think the winner for most lookalike is Max as Chuck. Like, he and Ed Westwick, they look a lot alike. And the second is Obi/Dan. I thought Obi had a very similar Dan vibe to him. I don't know what either of these cast members looking alike means, but it's just a thing that I noticed. Now, what is it about Gossip Girl in particular that always wants to have a threesome? I don't know what that's about. In the original series, they had a threesome, and it was kind of a one-off thing. It wasn't a huge plot point. It was just something that happened, and I just thought it was weird. The way that they shot it, the way that they set it up, the way that it was acted, it made me feel icky. And in this series, they had also a threesome. Now, I will say the plot surrounding the threesome was a lot better constructed, and I actually did grow to really like the throuple. I don't know if that's what the appropriate thing to call it, but the throuple, I liked them and I liked their relationship. However, the actual threesome scene wigged me out again. Am I a prude? I swear I'm not. It's just something about the way that they act it and write it and shoot it made me feel so icky and weird in a way that I don't normally feel just watching any other sex scene on TV. Every time they mention COVID in the show, I feel my soul die a little bit more. And I wish they would have just done a situation where it was an alternate universe and the pandemic never happened. Because the way they do it in the show is that they just bring up COVID as if it was a thing that happened. And now everything in this universe is exactly as it was before. So it was just like the before times, COVID in an isolated, couple of years, and then now we are back to the before times. And it's like an alternate universe, and it makes my skin crawl every time they say COVID, because I'm like, oh God, I'm jealous. Honestly, I'm just jealous that these fictional characters don't have to deal with COVID anymore. Now, any rich people who are watching, sound off in the comments. do you just leave your children unattended at all times and like literally just let them live in an apartment by themselves? Because I could not get away with half the shit these kids do when I was a teenager. Is that a TV thing or is that a rich people thing? Someone please answer for me. So the only thing I really saw about the Gossip Girl reboot as it was coming out was that the teachers were Gossip Girl and nobody liked that. And that is totally fair. I didn't love that the teachers were Gossip Girl. It was definitely creepy when that one teacher was just spying on kids undressing in the window and taking pictures of it. Like, that's super fucking weird. And I agree that the justification for why the teachers were Gossip Girl was pretty thin. I see where the writers were going with it. It's kind of weird to have a Gossip Girl reboot and not explain why Gossip Girl is back. But it didn't need to be the teachers, guys. There could have been a much better explanation that is much less creepy. And honestly, the teachers in general did not interest me. I thought most of their storylines were pretty boring, and I didn't care. I just wanted to get back to what the kids were doing. So Kate Keller is the main teacher, and she's the one that's kind of driving Gossip Girl. She's writing it. She's, you know, running the whole account, and she's the main teacher in the story. And all I have to say about her is her name and her voice sounds like a newscaster. Kate Keller, traffic on the nines. Like, come on. And she talks exactly like a newscaster. No shade to the actor. I'm sorry, I'm not criticizing it. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed. I have a little bit of beef about the character of Aki because he is the stand-in for Nate, who is my favorite character in Gossip Girl proper. So there were high expectations. And some were met. Overall, not really. Aki is really sweet. He's adorable. I liked his relationship with Audrey and Max, but he's just not dumb enough. He really needed to be the comedic relief. That's what he could have provided to all of the scenes that he was in where he was just standing there in the background. And yet, he just wasn't dumb enough. Aki clearly has a very high level of emotional intelligence, and I think this really should have been played up for comedy more than drama. In the show currently, his emotional intelligence, when he offers it up, serves to add to the conflict because he's usually offering it to Audrey, his girlfriend, and she doesn't want it from him. She just wants him to listen, and she's like, Aki, why do you have to fix everything? Or, you know, why can't you just be on my side? But I think it would have been so much better if they had just played it for a laugh. Like, Audrey's freaking out and, you know, quiet little Aki is just over here and he delivers this, like, amazingly, like, insightful and nuanced take and offers her this really great piece of advice out of nowhere. And you're just like, where did that come from? Okay. Like, it could have been a lot funnier, but it's not. And on that note, the comedy honestly was really good. Like, the original Gossip Girl, the comedy mostly came from the ridiculousness of the show, but the show was being 100% sincere, or maybe like, you know, 98% sincere, but the comedy was from like how ridiculous these things were. This rendition actually makes intentional jokes. There's a lot of comedy that's like actually written into the script, and I would say like 80 to 90% of it hits. Like, they are actually really funny jokes. A lot of them are topical, maybe they won't age well, but that's kind of what this show is. And I actually lost count of the amount of times that I literally laughed out loud. So props to you, writers of the new Gossip Girl. Okay, so here's another thing that I need some feedback on because I think I'm going crazy. There are 3 main teachers that are Gossip Girl. There's Kate, and then there's 2 sidekicks. The male teacher, for most of the series, I thought he was gay. I was certain that he was gay. And then it turns out that halfway through, suddenly he has this huge crush on Kate. And I just was so confused. Is that homophobic of me? Am I being homophobic to assume that this man is gay or just not interested in women because of who he is as a person? Please help me out. Am I the only one that really thought he was gay and was so like out of left field freaking confused when suddenly he has a crush on Kate? Please help me. This is another thing that is really only an observation and nothing more, but every time that the actor who plays Rafa was like backed into a corner, or he had to be like give a reaction shot, he does the exact same face, and I'm going to try and mimic it for you here. I don't know how good that was, but he basically just tilts his head up and kind of raises an eyebrow. I can't raise just one eyebrow. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, I just thought it was funny and I noticed it every time he did it. So now I would like to have a brief intermission in which I deliver the very first Gossip Girl Awards. Number 1, Best Actor goes to Max, hands down, like by a mile. That's not to say that the other actors weren't doing a good job, but this dude was freaking giving it his all, and I'm here for it. Now, in the original series, Chuck was my least favorite character, so it's kind of amazing that in the reboot, his descendant, Max, is my favorite character. It's kind of incredible, but they did such an amazing job with him. I loved his story. Like, I really could see the emotion behind him. He's not so much of a bad actor and trying to ruin people's lives as he is just a scared kid whose parents are getting divorced and he just needs some love and attention. And I thought the actor did such a good job with the performance. He really sold it, and it looks like he was having such a good time with it. Like, he was doing Ed Westwick better than Ed Westwick. Like, it was incredible, and I am still just blown away. Best performance by far. Now, the best actress I'm gonna give to Luna because she nailed every single one of her lines. They gave her a lot of like one-off funny lines, and I thought she did them perfectly. Every single one was delivered flawlessly, and I laughed, and I love her. Thank you, Luna. Now, best supporting actor, I'm gonna give to that one guy who was the actor in the Broadway play that they saw, because that dude really made me feel like I was about to have to sit through a 2-hour play performance and avoid eye contact with actors who were right in front of me, and I felt actual fear. So props to you, guy. And finally, I have an award for best facial expressions, which goes to Audrey. Go watch all of her reaction shots. They're amazing. She gives me the loudest facial expressions, and I'm living for it. So thank you, Audrey, for your performance. So something that I've noticed a lot in TV and media is that when people have 2 parents of the same gender, they will refer to them as like your moms or dads only. And this was definitely the case in Gossip Girl. Max has 2 dads, and they only refer to them as Max's dads constantly. It was like, Max's dad's this. Oh, Max, your dad's blah, blah, blah. Oh, my dads are getting divorced. And I swear to God, there was another word that we could have used in this scenario, but I just can't remember it right now. So while we're on the subject of Max's parents, I would just like to say my piece about Gideon's hair. And that is that I hate it. I don't know what the stylist was on when they were doing Gideon's hair, but it looks terrible always. It always looks like a suburban mom, and Gideon is not a suburban mom. He's a queen, and I love him as a character, but his hair is hideous, and I feel like if he were a real person, he would never get caught dead with that hairstyle. I actually really loved the cinematography as a whole. There is one shot that I just keep thinking about as like being really nice, and it was towards the end when they were at the Hamptons' house in the pool, and Max was sitting in the pool just like hanging there, and you know, it kind of zooms in on him, and then Aki and Audrey come in beside him, and I just really liked that, and it was emblematic of the cinematography on a whole. There's one final thing that I would like to talk about, and that is the references to the previous Gossip Girl series in the new one. Now, when you reboot a series, it's very expected that you will have some sort of homage to your predecessor, but this can go wrong pretty easily and turn cheesy and tacky. With this Gossip Girl reboot, I actually liked what they did with the homages and the cameos, and I think that it was just enough without going overboard. So overall, I thought the series was really well done. I liked it. Of course, there were some missteps. The Teachers Being Gossip Girl was not great, and I thought there were a few weak links in the cast, I won't point out who they are because I don't want to cyberbully anyone, but I didn't think that their performances detracted enough to ruin the experience entirely. So if you're looking for something to watch, if you liked the original Gossip Girl, if you don't know anything about the original Gossip Girl, I would recommend taking a look at this series. It was fun, it didn't take too long to get through, and it was really engaging. So that's my little review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.